welcome back to Tarot Tats and Tea. Today we're going to be looking at some books. I've added quite a few books to my library of esoteric, of gardening, of literature, so enjoyable sort of not studying literature, fiction. And I thought I'd share these with you. Now, these are only some of those that I've added. There are more that I will do a second video on at a later date. I will also be creating another video, if not today, then in the next few days, on decks that I have added to my collection since I last spoke to you. So what are we looking at first? First of all, we're looking at this little gem that I found on the shelf of TK Maxx. This is one of two little gems I found. The other one is downstairs on my other desk, and I've been up and down the stairs this morning like a fiddler's elbow, so I thought, well, it can stay there. I will put that into the next look at books. So this is the Dao De Jing. Through its elegant verse, the Dao De Jing teaches a universal message of humility, simplicity, and the art of non-action. It is thought to have been written circa 400 BC and remains one of the most important works of Eastern philosophy. The Dao De Jing has influenced other strands of Chinese philosophy and religion, including Confucianism and Buddhism, and its wisdom still has much to teach the modern reader about how to live a good life. And, you know, I think just looking at those three areas, you know, where we look at humility, simplicity, and the art of non-action. There are so many of us, including myself, that have to learn the art of non-action. And why do I say that? Well, let's have a look. If we have a problem in life, for me anyway, you know, I can't just withdraw and observe it from a distance. Or I can do it more so now than I ever could. I'd be one that would jump in with both feet, arms flailing. Not a good idea. A very recent example is the booking of a holiday, and I got myself all stressed out about it. I wasn't getting the cooperation from the suppliers, the travel agents, and I was starting to feel ill. I was getting palpitations, I was getting chest pains. I'm thinking, this is supposed to be something I'm enjoying. Step back, don't act. So I stepped back, I didn't act. I sat in quiet contemplation, and everything fell into place. And I thought, why did I get myself so worked up? Why? For things that could potentially be an issue, but I've already preempted the issues and have alternates. But it means sitting back and not leaping in, not getting into these confrontations with others. If we have a bee in our bonnet about something, a situation, people, places, stop. Breathe. Focus on you. And look at why it's making you feel like that. And don't react. Let it just walk on by. And that is developing an art of inaction. Do I think that everything needs to be an inaction? Do you know what? I think the world would be a better place if it was. Just see people's quirkinesses, let them on. You're not going to change them, you know. So I'm going off the track. I'm giving examples of how this, since getting this, it's made me look at me and made me step back and just be. And things do fall into place. Now, this is beautifully written. As I say, this was around 400 BC, 400 years before Christ, you know, before Christianity. It's quite, you know, considering its size, it's full of wisdom, and it's wisdom through verse. And here's an example. Heaven and earth are impartial. They treat all of creation as straw dogs. The master doesn't take sides. She treats everyone like a straw dog. The space between heaven and earth is like a bellows. It is empty, yet has not lost its power. The more it is used, the more it produces. The more you talk of it, the less you comprehend. It is better not to speak of things you do not understand. Well, my goodness, can't we all take a lesson just from that little bit alone? Now, this book starts off, it gives you, when you first open the book, you have the Dao De Jing Lao Tzu, and it's translated by John H. MacDonald, and it is published by Arcturus. This edition was published in 2024. You have your introduction, an explanation of the Dao De Jing, and then picture credits on page 208, or the Dao De Jing, not just an explanation, the teachings, which are quite beautiful. They're simple to understand and beautiful. And just that, the first paragraph, which is only 4 lines long in the introduction, the Dao De Jing is not only the most influential classic text of Chinese philosophy, it is also one of the most widely read examples of what can perhaps best be described as wisdom literature. And that goes without say. I tell you how I have been using this. Sometimes I haven't been reading it cover to cover, which I actually might sit down and do. But I've just been closing my eyes and letting it open up. When I can't see a way forward, when things are getting me down. And let's have a look here. Without opening your door, you can know the whole world. Without looking out of your window, you can understand the way of the Tao. The more knowledge you seek, the less you will understand. The master understands without leaving and sees clearly without looking, accomplishes much without doing anything. And like I say, sometimes it's best to just sit back and be. Quieten your mind, quieten your heart, and just be at peace. Because it's almost like it brings a positivity. A solution can be found. Now, as life is, and we're not all monks and can spend time. When you have this quiet period, it's almost like answers come to you, and you can far calmly see a solution and calmly deal with the problem. But I like this saying as well, that the more you seek knowledge, the less you'll understand, because I think by seeking more, we're making our life more complex. But unfortunately, I haven't learned that lesson yet, because I love to learn. But this has made me far more. It's not performed a miracle, but it's made me look at me. It's very much like sitting back and doing a peaceful type of shadow work. I love it. I love it. And that sits right here. Now, I've kept the back part on. This can slide off, but I've kept it on for this video so that I could read this to you. I will actually cut that out and put that in my journal. So that's the Dao De Jing. The next book I'm going to show you definitely fits in with my world of sort of esoteric interests, and it's the Modern Witchcraft Spellbook, your complete guide to crafting and casting spells by Skye Alexander. Now, hundreds of spells for the modern day witch. At any given moment, you have the power to manifest lasting love, boost your prosperity and shape your destiny. Written by Skye Alexander, spellcraft expert and the author of The Modern Guide to Witchcraft, this book teaches you how to harness your inner magic through incantations, potions and charms. Whether you're looking to get the job of your dreams, rejuvenate your body, or bring good fortune to family and friends, each page provides you with a spell that can be recreated or personalised for your specific situation. With the tools of the Modern Witchcraft Spellbook, practising witches will hone in on their natural talents and discover a whole new world of possibilities. Now, why did I get this? Do I practice witchcraft? Previously, I would have said no. It's just me. It's just what I do. And what do? I forage. I grow and dry herbs. I do make teas and I make tinctures. I do make balms. And if we look back, going back to our ancestors, and even not that long ago, people that did that were considered they're a little bit of a witch, a bit witchy. And it doesn't dawn on you until you sit down and have a conversation with someone and say, well, what you do would be considered as witchcraft. Well, would it? I guess it would. Do I carry out spells? I would have said again, no, I don't. But I burn herbs. I set out my intentions. I write problems on a piece of paper and I burn it and let it go up and I send it out into the ether. And just by doing that and then going back and doing my own meditation, I find an answer. So I suppose, yes, it can be said, Elaine, yeah, you actually are. So I've taken my own practices and I've made notes of it in journals and books that I have here. And I've compared it to what's going on in this little book. And do you know something? When I look at it, albeit it's not set out as lovely as this or for a particular thing, say, for instance, if I'm concerned, say now for instance, if we had a bill come in and I'm thinking, oh, I'm in the red this month, how am I going to be paying that? And I'd just sit down and say, right, hold on, what do I need to do? Where can I cut out things? What can I adjust to build up a little bit of extra income this next week? Oh, and you just sit there and think, again, I go back to my meditation, I ask my guides, I ask my past loved ones, particularly my dad, I ask my grandparents to hop on in and give us a hand. And you know something? Quite often they do, and things are solved. Sorry, I'm just turning off the dinging on my phone. I forgot I had notifications turned on here. Let me just turn this off, turn it down. There we go. Oops. Right. So this, what I like about this, it goes through, first of all, nature's magic. Today, few people use Eye of Newton, toe of frog in a spell. They're more likely to choose everyday ingredients they can find in a supermarket or new age store, or better yet, in the natural environment. Using objects from nature is a wonderful way to enhance your connection with Mother Earth and to increase the power of your spells by adding the energies of plants, stones, etc. Since ancient times, witches, shamans, sorcerers and other magic workers have looked to nature for spell material. They use herbs and flowers to make healing potions, salves, poultices and tonics. There you go. Gemstones and crystals providing protection, augmented personal powers and attracted blessings. The natural world still provides a cornucopia of plants, minerals and other treasures that you can use in your own magical workings. So yes, I guess that's what I do. This has tables in it. So for instance, just as an example, one table that's here in the book, ingredients for personal improvement spells. So you've got the gemstones. So if you, aquamarine stimulates intuition, imagination and creativity. Fluorite improves concentration, mental clarity. Lapis lazuli deepens insight and inner wisdom. Moldavite enhances your ability to communicate with spirits, deities and extraterrestrials. Obsidian provides strength to face obstacles, helps you break the old habits. And sapphire increases spiritual knowledge and connection with the divine. Then you have flowers, essential oils and incense, and herbs and spices, and what each of them do. Spell to strengthen the first chakra. So the first chakra, our root chakra, to give us strength, our foundation. Okay, so this spell focuses on the body's first major energy centre, there you go, known as the root chakra, at the base of your spine, to strengthen your sense of security, stability and inner power. And it's all of that, and it strengthens, when we say security, stability and inner power, that all includes our confidence, our belief and our desire to achieve. The ingredients or tools, one object that represents your tribe. So what would be an object that would represent my tribe? I would probably use a tarot card. And I have decks that I use for spell work, since I've realised it's spell work, and I for meditation predominantly, but I do have a spare deck that I do take cards out of if they need writing on or gluing into journals, etc. So one object that represents your tribe, one pen, one piece of paper, a red candle in a holder, a vial of clove essential oil, matches or a lighter. The best time to perform this, during the waxing moon, preferably when the sun or moon is in Aries or Leo. And then it goes on to give you this, the method. So you've got your ingredients, you've got your method, okay? And colour spell for revising your life, etc. So it's really, really full of information, and it's very strange when you actually page through this book and look at your own life and think, oh my gosh, I was already doing something very similar to this, you know. Now there's, you know, like in Belchina. Now I know in England it's Beltane. Here in Ireland it's Belchina, and you know, I bake bread and things at the different times of the year, and pricking it and speaking over it, blessing it. It's all part of my own personal ritual that actually has come up as spell work. Oh, here we go. We have Lunasa, peasant bread here. Let's have a look. Oh, now this sounds lovely. A small bowl, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 cup of warm water, 2 heaped spoons of yeast, a large bowl, 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of finely chopped rosemary, the same of thyme, dill and chives, olive oil, 1 clean cloth and a baking sheet. And then you go through, you've got your ingredients, and then you go through your method to creating this loaf of bread. I'm actually going to give this a go because I've put rosemary into one of my loaves. I've put lavender into one of my loaves. I haven't mixed rosemary, thyme, dill and chives. I think that will be very nice. So that is Modern Witchcraft, okay, and it's the spell book. There are a number of different, not just spell books, there are a lot of other books that come under this modern spell book title by the same author. The next book that I'm going to show you is a story. I'll read the back first before I give you the title. It's 1973 and Jim Sharp is sick of life, sick of being a cop, and most of all sick of Hong Kong. He's one of the few not taking bribes, yet he's one of being charged with corruption. By the end of the week, he'll be kicked off the force no matter what. All that changes when a dead body's found next to a Victorian harbour, a bloody tarot card in its hand. Jim's called onto the case, and what he discovers promises not just to upend his world, but the whole city as well. With harrowing shootouts on the streets of Hong Kong Island, action-packed car chases down the peak, and plenty of tarot card mumbo-jumbo, you know this hard-boiled and international detective novel will take you to the edge of your seat. Experience what readers everywhere will soon be talking about, Tarot Card Killer. So what are you waiting for? Draw your first card today. Yes, this is by Greg Strandberg. It's called The Tarot Card Killer, and it has the potential to be a damn good story. Why do I say potential? Because I haven't opened it and started reading it yet. I've actually got 3. In fact, I started another one today. I've actually got 4 books on the go, and I really need to finish those before I start anything else. It's broken down into different chapters, like all books are. It was a silly comment, really, wasn't it? Greg Strandberg has written a number of books. I thought that was a list of what's in the chapter, but it's not. It's a list of his books. The Jongorian Mission, Trouble in Jongoria, the Jongorian Resolution, The Warring States, The State of Chu, The State of Quinn, Tarot Card Killer, which is this one here. And then he's gone on Black Walnut, Room 223, The Hirelings, Wake Up Detroit, and Ale Quest, 9 Amusing Tales, G.I. Joe and the Dreadnoks, G.I. Joe, Joe Team 13, G.I. Joe After Infinity, G.I. Joe To Its Knees, Florida Sinkholes, Bring Back Our Girls, and Dolce Bass. So this is, this is one of his, this was his, hold on a second, where are we? This was actually his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this was his 7th book, and he's written a good number. The book is broken down into a week, okay, so it starts on Monday the 4th of June 1973. You've got 6 chapters in that. Then it goes on to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it's the last chapter starts on page 177. The book has 186 pages, but the last few, there's one historical notes, and on page 182, sorry, one sentence on 183, it's got at the end, to be continued. So this looks like it could be something to get our teeth into. Now, another book that I have on my to read list. Now these, like I say, I've not read these. These are the new additions to my hefty to read pile. I have a number of them. The Guilty Girl. Two beautiful girls, one murdered, one accused. It's by Patricia Gibney. It's a D.I. Lottie Parker novel, and Lottie Parker is one of the most compelling characters in the Irish detective fiction, and that was a review by Liz Nugent. When the call comes about Lucy, a 17-year-old girl murdered after the secret party she held in her parents' home, Detective Lottie Parker is first at the scene. As Lottie breaks the news to Lucy's heartbroken parents and the devastated partygoers, she discovers that hours before her death, Lucy had revealed a terrible secret about her friend Hannah. And when Lottie finds Lucy's blood-stained clothing hidden in Hannah's bedroom, she has no option but to bring her into custody. But Hannah claims to have no memory of the night Lucy died, and as Lottie investigates further, she discovers something shocking. Her own son, Sean, was at the party. Why did he lie to her? Is her beloved child a witness or a suspect? Or in the killer's sights? The Irish Independent has written gripping, palpable tension from the very start to its electrifying twist, and Heat have written exceptionally hard to put down. You won't be able to help rooting for our flawed heroine. Oh my goodness. Other books by Patricia Gibney are Buried Angels, Silent Voices and Little Bones. So this, and I like the size of the print in this. I like the fact the pages, see, excuse me, people getting a little bit older get pains in the hands, and I have developed arthritis. Excuse me, I've got hiccups all of a sudden, arthritis in my hands. So holding a book open can be quite tiresome. When they make them light like this and the pages just fall open and the book more or less holds itself open, you can sit and read like that. I love it. So that is a book that seems like it will be something to thoroughly enjoy. Now this one, I saw this one on the shelf in Eason's about a month ago, and I thought, oh, I think I would enjoy that book, or at least not necessarily enjoy it, but would I be able to solve the mystery before we get to the end? I love doing that when I'm reading something that's detective based. Carmel Harrington has written this book, and Andrea Mara has said, an addictive, immersive, poignant page turner. It's called The Stolen Child. She will stop at nothing to find her son. It's every parent's worst nightmare, but there's no awaking from this. On board a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, Kimberly wakes to discover that her 2-year-old son Robert has vanished from the cabin overnight. She and her husband Jason vow to do whatever it takes to bring Robert home, but he's never found. 40 years later, their therapist daughter Lily becomes a new client. 40 years later, their therapist daughter Lily welcomes a new client into her home. Zach has a shocking theory about what happened to her brother Robert years before. If Zach is to be believed, someone out there knows what happened on that ship, and they would do anything to stop the truth getting out. But secrets always find a way to reveal themselves. I think that's going to be really good. You know, it's a topic that is, like I said, it's like it's rightly says, every parent's nightmare. You know, we don't have to look very far to see where things have happened in the last few years to families and children being taken. So something like this could upset some people. Others, it would be something to sit and read. So if you have issues or fears about that sort of thing, it's not something I would read. But for someone who likes detective stories, who likes to solve problems, who likes to read what happens afterwards, this is the sort of book I would go for. Now, you are all very au fait with me and my gardening. How many times have I taken you around shown you what's growing. Actually, no, the cherries are still on the tree. I might just make it there before the birds. I can still see little balls of red. I managed to get 3 yesterday, one for me, one for my husband, and one of my sons. So at least we've had a taste, should the birds beat me this morning, because I've had that cherry tree for the last 4 years. We had a real good harvest last year. Well, we would have had a real good harvest last year. Had the morning I went out with my bowl, the birds hadn't been there at dawn, and ate every single cherry. Not a single cherry, not even a pip of a cherry was left. So I'm digressing. This is by Hugh Richards, and it's Veg in One Bed. How to grow an abundance of food in one raised bed month by month. Okay? And for all you gardeners out there, for all of those of you who like experimenting and growing different plants, different foodstuffs, even trying things that do they grow in colder climates where it pours down rain quite regularly, or do they grow in hot climates? I like taking things I'm told they won't grow here and doing something. I'm actually have something going at the moment. Hopefully I'm not putting the black spot on it by sharing this with you. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but I'm going to try anyway. I have got growing in my greenhouse watermelons, and there's the start of a watermelon. Look at that, a watermelon. If it keeps growing at that rate, I'm going to have a number of watermelons, and I don't know what I will do with them all. But yeah, that's how I've got them laid out. I think I might have underestimated how big the plants actually get. So I've got to build a frame for them today, and that's one of my jobs to do, building a frame for my watermelon, and wait for it, in my greenhouse, grapes. You'd think the way I talk about it, that I had loads of rolling hills as land and fields. I have a polycarbonate greenhouse that is exactly 8 by 6, and I have a potting shed that is 8 by 8. That's 8 foot by 8 foot, 6 foot by 8 foot, and I live in a small, I live in a nice house. I say nice, I don't mean. I've got a nice sized garden in this. When it comes to the size gardens you get on in housing estates, and yeah, all this is grown in a suburb, in a small town, in my back garden. And I have quite a lot going on with cauliflower, with broccoli, with lettuce, chards, pak choy, potatoes, strawberries, all my herbs, loads and loads of herbs, tomatoes, apple trees, 3 apple trees, a cherry tree, a plum tree, a lemon tree, a kumquat tree and a limequat tree. Those 2 haven't fruited for the last couple of years. I think they're not getting on well in our climate, and perhaps they're in a pot. Why are all my trees in pots? They're all in pots because our soil is very clay-like and it suffocates the roots, and they don't grow very well. So I bought this to show what can I plant together that will not kill each other, that won't suffocate each other, and that this is what I have been following. It's a very, very step-by-step easy guide to follow, and today I'm actually going to be taking up a couple of lettuces, and in fact 1, 2, 3, 4 lettuces, and I'm going to be putting new seeds down there because I can grow those all year round, and then in the winter time I'll take them into the greenhouse and grow them in baskets in the greenhouse. So it's very, very good. When you can get books like this that guide you along the way, it's even better. So this is Veg in One Bed, How to Grow an Abundance of Food in One Raised Bed Month by Month by Hugh Richards. In just one raised bed, green-fingered wonder child Hugh Richards shows you how to grow vegetables easily, organically and abundantly, and have something to eat every month. Discover exactly what you need to do and how to do it each month. Learn Hugh's simple growing techniques from clear, illustrated step-by-step instructions. Maximise your harvest by starting off young plants on your windowsill. Yep, I do that, but I do it in my potting shed. Little growing experience, only small space, no problem. With Veg in One Bed, you can eat delicious food and that you have grown all year round. And you can follow Hugh's Nursery on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook, and it's Hugh, H-U-W. Hugh's Nursery, H-U-W-S-N-U-R-S-E-R-Y. So this was published by Dorling Kinsley, and It's one that's adding to my gardening plants, which are just up there on the shelf up there. Books that I have got on the go at the moment. I have spoken to you about these ones before. I think I've spoken. No, maybe not this one. Puzzlewood. I'm still reading that. Why am I still reading it? Because I keep putting it down to read something out of Sleepers. Yep, I'm reading Sleepers. Traumatic. Don't necessarily recommend it if you're easily upset, because this is a very, very upsetting book. It's very much like the film. It's read as it's narrated on the film. So Sleepers. That's by Lorenzo Carcaterra. And we've got The Puzzlewood by Rosie Andrews, and she's the author of The Levithian. I hadn't come across The Levithian, but about 2 weeks ago I downloaded it onto my Kindle. This is a good book, but I keep putting it down and picking up other books. I'm really a devil for doing that, so I need to focus, stay focused, and try and focus on the one story. And the other book that I've started, Stephen King's Sleeping Beauty, and he's written it in conjunction with his son, Owen King. At this hour, we're continuing to follow a breaking story. Medical officials are reporting the outbreak of what some are calling Australian fainting flu. Around the world, something strange is happening to women. They are falling victim to a sleeping virus which shrouds them in a cocoon-like gauze. If woken, if the gauze is disturbed, the woman becomes rabid. In the small town of Dooling, West Virginia, the virus is spreading through a woman's prison, affecting all inmates except one, enigmatic Evie. The abandoned men are starting to fight one another, while the town sheriff, Leila Norcross, is just fighting to stay awake and solve the mystery. But the clock is ticking, and the women of Dooling are about to open their eyes to a new world altogether. The Guardian wrote a colourful epic, vital and fresh, and USA Today wrote ambitious, heartbreaking, and all too timely. And Sleeping Beauties is the first collaboration between Stephen King, author of It, and Owen King, author of Double Feature. So, there we go. Happy days. And what's the fourth book that I've got going on? Well, I'm actually starting it today because a friend of mine across the water is starting it today as well, and we want to compare notes on it. So that's why I'm starting a fourth book, and it's the latest Stephen King book, and it is called... Oh my God, what's it called? Bear with me. I will tell you now what it's called. It's sitting on my lounge table. That's terrible. I've actually hit a blank. It is called Never Flinch by Stephen King. So hubby bought that for me the other day, and I'm going to start it later on. So folks, that's it for books today. I hope you've enjoyed this fly through. It's like a whistle-stop journey at each book, and I do apologise for going on. I do go on a little bit too long when I look at the likes of the likes of the Dao De Jing, or the likes of the spell book, even the gardening. But they're all interests of mine that I enjoy sharing with you. I hope I haven't bored you to tears. Do hop back on here later on, when there will also be a second video of decks. Some oracle, some tarot, and I look forward to sharing that with you too. Take care now, have a lovely day, and see you soon. Bye.